One of the hardest lessons I had to learn in life was this: you don't always get what you want, and you won't always win. You're going to fail, you're going to fall, and you're going to feel like the world has turned its back on you. I know, because I've been there. I've tasted rejection. I've lived through disappointment. I've had doors slammed in my face. And at the time, I thought it was the end. But here's the truth. Every failure I went through wasn't destroying me. It was preparing me. Every no I heard was shaping me for the alias that mattered. Life's hardest lessons don't come when everything is easy. They come when you're down, when you're broken, when you've got nothing left but faith and discipline to carry you. That's when you find out who you really are. You see, I didn't get here because everything went right for me. I didn't become who I am because doors were wide open and everybody was waiting with applause. No. I got here because of failure. Failure was my teacher. Failure was my trainer. Failure was the voice in my ear saying, get back up, keep going, you're not done yet. When I was younger, I failed more times than I can count. I went on auditions and got turned down. I chased opportunities that never came. I prayed for results that didn't show up. I heard no so often that it almost started to sound like my name. And let me tell you, when you're in that place, when life keeps shutting the door on you, you start to question yourself. Am I good enough? Am I wasting my time? Should I quit? Those thoughts crept into my head more than once. But every time I fell, something inside me whispered, not yet. Get back up. A failure has a way of humbling you. It strips away the arrogance, the entitlement, the belief that success is supposed to just show up because you worked hard one time. Failure doesn't care how talented you are. It doesn't care what you think you deserve. It's there to test your resilience. And if you let it, it will sharpen you. It will mold you. It will prepare you for the weight of real success. I remember walking the streets of New York, broke, uncertain, just trying to figure out what was next. I didn't know where my next check was coming from. I didn't know how long I could hold on. But looking back, those failures, those dry seasons, they taught me hunger. They taught me patience. They taught me to be grateful for the small things, because the big things weren't promised. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear: the success isn't built on your wins. Success is built on your losses. It's the mistakes, the rejections, the late nights, the setbacks that create strength. Every great person you've ever admired, an athlete, an entrepreneur, an artist, they didn't get there without falling flat on their face. The difference is they refused to stay down. When I failed, I didn't just get back up and try again. I got back up with lessons. I asked myself, what did I learn from that? What can I do differently? That's the secret. Failure by itself won't make you better. But failure plus reflection, that will change your life. Failure plus resilience, that will make you unstoppable. You've got to change the way you see failure. Too many people treat it like a dead end when really it's a detour. Failure isn't the end of the road. It's the sign pointing you toward the right road. You wanted things to go one way, but life said, no, not that way. I've got something else for you. You can either sit there angry and bitter, or you can follow the sign and keep moving. If I had let failure define me, I wouldn't be standing here today. If I had let rejection stop me, you wouldn't know my name. I would have quit long before the breakthrough came. But I learned that the greater the setback, the greater the setup for the comeback. I learned that every failure was carving out the strength I was going to need to carry the blessings that were waiting for me. You see, the reason failure hurts so much is because it demands something from you. It demands growth. It demands humility. It demands perseverance. And that's why most people run from it. They don't want the pain. They don't want the lessons. They don't want the long nights. But if you can embrace it, if you can lean into the discomfort, then one day you'll look back and realize that your failures were your greatest blessings. I stand here today, not in spite of my failures, but because of them. They taught me to endure, to fight, to keep my faith when nothing made sense. They gave me the toughness to handle success without losing myself. So if you're in a season of failure right now, if it feels like life keeps knocking you down, let me tell you, don't run from it. Don't let it break you. Let it build you. Because failure isn't the opposite of success. Failure is the foundation of success. People often ask me, Denzel, what's the secret? What separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't? And I'll tell you this, it's not just talent. Talent will get you noticed, yes, but it won't sustain you. It's discipline that makes the difference. Discipline separates the dreamers from the doers. I've seen countless talented people with more natural ability than me fall by the wayside because they didn't have the discipline to keep pushing when things got hard. When I first started out, I didn't have it all figured out. I didn't walk into Hollywood with a map or with people waiting to hand me a role. I walked into rejection. I walked into doubt. I walked into people telling me, you're not ready, you're not right, you're not enough. And I'll be honest with you, there were times I wanted to quit. Times when I thought maybe they were right. But discipline kept me coming back. Discipline said, show up anyway. Try again. Do the work even when no one is watching. I remember nights when I would rehearse lines alone in my small apartment over and over again with nobody there to tell me if I was doing it right. Nobody there to clap or cheer. Just me and the work. That's discipline. Doing it when it's not glamorous, when it's not exciting, when nobody even knows your name yet. That's what builds character. See, discipline is not about motivation. Motivation comes and goes. One day you feel like running through walls. The next day you can barely get out of bed. If you rely on motivation, you'll quit the moment life gets heavy. But if you build discipline, you'll keep going even on the days you feel like stopping. Discipline is waking up earlier than you want to. Discipline is saying no to distractions, to comfort, to the easy path. Discipline is choosing long-term rewards over short-term pleasures. And that's something I had to learn the hard way. Early on, I had friends who wanted to party, who wanted to have fun every night, who didn't understand why I was locked in a room rehearsing or going over scripts. They said, why are you wasting your time? And I told them, I'm not wasting time, I'm investing it. Because I knew one day the sacrifices I was making now would pay off later. You see, discipline is lonely sometimes. You don't get applause for it. You don't get celebrated for it. People don't see the early mornings, the late nights, the hours of repetition, the grind that nobody talks about. But that's the price. That's the cost of greatness. You want to be a doctor, an athlete, an actor, an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter. The formula doesn't change. Without discipline, you won't last. There were days when I failed an audition, days when I heard that painful, thank you, next, and I wanted to crawl into bed and disappear. But discipline told me, get up, you've got work to do. And I can promise you this, every time I listened to that voice, every time I pushed past my feelings and did the work anyway, I grew. Not just as an actor, but as a man. Discipline builds something inside of you that nothing else can. It teaches you patience. It teaches you consistency. It teaches you that success isn't about one big breakthrough. It's about small, daily decisions that stack up over time. Every line I practiced, every role I studied, every failure I pushed through It all added up. That's what got me here. Not luck, not shortcuts, not connections. Discipline. And let me tell you something else. It doesn't stop when you get successful. In fact, you need more discipline when you succeed than when you're just starting out. Because once you make it, that's when the distractions really come. That's when people tell you you've done enough, that you can relax. But discipline says, keep sharpening your craft. Keep growing. Keep working. That's how you stay at the top. So if you want to know the truth, if you want to understand one of life's hardest lessons, it's this: talent can open the door, but discipline keeps you inside the room. Discipline is the difference between a good start and a great finish. And if you learn to master it, if you learn to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it, then there's nothing in this world that can stop you. I've learned that when life gets heavy, when everything seems to collapse around you, the only thing that can truly hold you steady is faith. I'm not talking about faith as some distant idea or something you pull out of your pocket only when things go wrong. I'm talking about faith as an anchor, something you carry inside of you, something doesn't break when the storms come, because trust me, they will come. I can tell you from my own life, there were times when I didn't know if I was going to make it. Times when I felt invisible, overlooked, like my voice didn't matter, like I didn't matter. And when those moments came, I had two choices: let the weight crush me, or hold on to faith that there was something bigger at work. I chose faith, not because I always understood the path, not because the road was clear, but because I believed deep down that I wasn't walking alone. You see, faith doesn't remove the struggle, it gives you the strength to endure it. Faith doesn't erase the storm, but it reminds you that storms don't last forever. Every time I was told, "You're not good enough," every time I walked out of an audition empty-handed, every time I questioned if this dream was really meant for me, I had to return to faith. And faith whispered, "Keep going." Faith told me that my story wasn't finished, that the rejection I felt wasn't a dead end, it was redirection. And let me tell you something, I've discovered that sometimes faith has to carry you when your strength can't. Your talent won't always get you through. Your connections won't always open the door. Your education won't always be enough. But faith will give you the courage to keep moving forward when nothing else makes sense. Faith will keep you on your feet when the world knocks you down. There were seasons in my life where I was broke, where I had nothing but a dream, and I was scared that dream would never become reality. And in those seasons I prayed. I leaned on something bigger than myself. Because when you don't have answers, when you don't have clarity, you have to believe that there's a plan greater than your own understanding. That's what kept me alive. That's what kept me pushing when the world said, "Quit." Life has a way of testing you right when you feel most unprepared. You lose people you love. You lose opportunities you thought were yours. You lose confidence in yourself. And you start to ask, why me? But faith turns that question into, try me. Faith says, I know you're hurting. I know you're tired, but this pain is shaping you. This storm is teaching you. This setback is preparing you. Without faith, you see the loss. With faith, you see the lesson. I can't stand here and tell you life will always go the way you plan. It won't. Sometimes the people you thought would always be there won't. Sometimes the opportunities you were waiting for never arrive. Sometimes you'll give everything you've got and still come up short. But I can tell you this, if you carry faith, if you trust the process, even when you don't understand it, you will come out stronger. You will find out that what you lost wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning of a new chapter. And here's the truth. Faith is not about ignoring reality. It's not about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. Faith is about walking through reality with the confidence that there's something greater on the other side. It's about saying, guys, I'm hurting. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I'm afraid. But I believe this storm will not destroy me. I believe this season will not define me. I believe I was created for more than this moment. When I look back at my life, at the toughest battles, at the loneliest nights, at the biggest disappointments, I don't remember the pain as much as I remember the faith that carried me through. I remember the moments where I wanted to quit, but chose to keep going. I remember the small victories, the doors that opened after dozens were slammed shut, the way strength showed up in me when I thought I had nothing left. That wasn't just me. That was faith in action. So, if you're listening to me right now and you feel like you're drowning, if you feel like the storm is too strong, if you feel like life has broken you, I want you to remember this: storms don't last. Pain doesn't last. Struggle doesn't last. But faith will. Faith is permanent. Faith is the one thing that can't be taken from you, and it's the one thing that will carry you to the other side. I've learned over the years that everybody wants success, but not everybody is willing to pay the price that comes with it. People see the red carpets, the lights, the applause, but they don't see the years of struggle, the nights of doubt, and the sacrifices that built the foundation under those moments. I didn't just arrive here. I didn't just wake up one morning and have opportunity waiting on my doorstep. I had to give up comfort. I had to give up sleep. I had to give up the easy road so I could walk the one that was meant for me. That's the truth people don't want to hear. Success will cost you something. It might cost you time. It might cost you friends. It might even cost you the version of yourself that wants to stay safe, stay lazy, stay comfortable. But the price must be paid. When I first started, I didn't have it figured out. I wasn't handed anything. I had rejection after rejection, and every no I heard tried to push me back into mediocrity. But I knew if I gave in, if I stopped chasing the dream, I would live with regret. So I sacrificed the nights out with friends, the distractions that pulled me off course. I sacrificed comfort because I knew comfort was never going to take me anywhere worth going. I had to put in hours when no one was clapping, when no one was calling my name, when the lights were off and the room was silent. Those are the moments that define you. Not when people are watching, but when you're alone and you have to decide, am I going to keep going or am I going to quit? I remember sleeping on couches, walking into auditions and being turned away, wondering if I was even good enough. There were days I questioned myself, days I thought maybe it wasn't meant for me. But deep down, I knew purpose requires sacrifice. And I told myself, if you want this, you have to be willing to give something up for it. That's the deal. You can't hold on to comfort and expect greatness at the same time. One of them has to go. You can either sacrifice now and live with the reward later, or take the easy path now and live with regret forever. I chose sacrifice. And let me tell you, sacrifice is lonely sometimes. There were people who didn't understand, who thought I was crazy for chasing this dream. Some of them walked away. Some of them doubted me. Some of them told me I should settle for something safer. But I couldn't settle. I couldn't accept a life of what if. So I let go of people who didn't believe in me. I let go of opinions that tried to keep me small. That's another sacrifice you have to make. You have to be willing to lose people who don't see the vision, who can't walk the road with you. Not everyone can go where you're going. And that's okay. What I discovered is that sacrifice doesn't just build success, it builds character. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you how to value what you earn. When you've given blood, sweat, and tears for something, when you've paid for it with your time, your effort, and your persistence, you treat it differently. You protect it. You honor it. Because you know what it costs you to get there. And that's why I say success without sacrifice isn't real success. If it comes too easy, if it costs you nothing, it won't mean anything when hold it in your hands. But when you've sacrificed for it, when you've bled for it, when you've given up pieces of yourself for it, that's when success becomes powerful. So when I look back, I don't regret the nights I lost sleep. I don't regret the parties I missed. I don't regret the comfort I gave up, because all of that was the price for something greater. That's the truth about life. You can't have everything. You have to choose. You have to decide what matters to you. And if you want greatness, if you want to live your purpose, then you have to sacrifice for it. Don't be afraid of the cost. Don't run from the hard road, because it's that road, the one that demands the most from you, that will give you the most in return. And when you reach the top, when you finally step into the life you've worked for, you'll understand that every sacrifice was worth it. When I was younger, I thought success was about applause. I thought it was about walking into a room and having people recognize your face, clap for your work, praise your talent. And don't get me wrong, applause feels good. Recognition feels good. But applause fades, and if that's all you're chasing, you're going to end up empty. One of life's hardest lessons I had to learn was that applause is temporary, but purpose is permanent. I had to find out who I was when the cameras turned off, when the lights went down, when no one was standing on their feet clapping for me. That's when you realize what you're really made of. I've stood on big stages. I've heard the roar of thousands of voices. I've accepted awards. I've had my name in lights. And yet, none of that compares to the quiet moments when I'm alone and I ask myself, what are you doing it for? You see, applause can trick you. It can make you believe you've arrived, that you're somebody, that you've accomplished enough. But the applause doesn't follow you home at night. It doesn't comfort you when life gets hard. It doesn't hold you accountable when you fall short. Purpose does. Purpose is what keeps you moving when nobody's watching, when nobody's clapping, when nobody even cares to look your way. I learned early on that my career, my talent, my platform, none of it was just for me. It was never just about how many roles I could play or how many awards I could win. It was about impact. It was about planting seeds that would grow long after I'm gone. When you live for applause, you live for the moment. When you live for purpose, you live for eternity. People might forget what you said. They might forget what movie you did. They might forget the exact words of a speech. But they will never forget how you made them feel, how you inspired them, how you pushed them to be more than they thought they could be. Now, don't get me wrong. Success is a beautiful thing. I've worked hard. I've sacrificed, and I've been blessed to reap the rewards of that hard work. But the truth is, the reward isn't the trophy, it isn't the spotlight, it isn't the applause. The reward is knowing you stayed true to your calling, that you didn't compromise who you are just to fit in, that you didn't sell out your purpose for popularity. There were times in my career when I had to turn things down, roles that might have paid well, opportunities that might have brought more fame. But I had to ask myself, does this align with my purpose? Does this add to what I'm building, or does it just feed my ego for a moment? And let me tell you, saying no isn't always easy. But every time I did, I realized I was building something greater than applause. I was building a legacy. See, applause stops the moment people decide to look away, but purpose keeps ringing in your soul. Applause depends on people liking you. Purpose depends on you being faithful. And faithfulness lasts longer than fame ever will. If you're chasing applause, you'll never be satisfied because people are fickle. They'll cheer you one moment and forget you the next. But if you're chasing purpose, you'll wake up every morning with peace, knowing that you're on the right path, even if nobody notices. So when I speak to young people, when I talk to dreamers, when I stand on a stage and share my heart, I tell them this: don't live for the claps. Don't live for the likes. Don't live for the spotlight, because all of that will pass. Live for something greater. Live for purpose, because purpose will give you strength when failure comes, humility when success arrives, and clarity when you're lost. Purpose is what tells you who you are when the world tries to tell you something else. When my time is done, I don't want people to just say, he was a great actor. That's fine, but it's not enough. I want them to say, he used his gifts to inspire others. He lifted people up. He lived with faith. He lived with purpose. That, to me, is real success. That, to me, is worth more than any standing ovation. Because applause will fade, but purpose, that lasts forever.